People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there.
Greg Gutfeld just exposed Sunny Hostin in a way no one saw coming.
For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice.
For years, she's called out others for historical injustices, until her own family's dark past surfaced. Suddenly, the same accountability she demanded didn't seem to apply to her. Gutfeld didn't let it slide. He put the hypocrisy on full display, and the internet exploded. Memes took over social media, viewers turned against The View, and now even the show's credibility is being questioned. Is this the moment identity politics finally backfires? Let's break down what really happened.
I didn't think my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Sunny Hostin has never shied away from using history as a weapon in debates about race and justice.
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
She has repeatedly argued that people must take responsibility for the actions of their ancestors, especially when it comes to systemic oppression. But when the tables turned and her own family's past as slave owners was exposed, her response stunned everyone. Instead of showing the same outrage and accountability she demands from others, Sunny dismissed the revelation as just a fact of life. No apology, no reflection, just a casual shrug. Greg Gutfeld didn't let it slide.
Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she took the news. Roll it.
He used his signature wit to highlight the blatant hypocrisy, pointing out that Sunny had built her platform on moral superiority, only to completely ignore her own family's troubling history. The audience, expecting a strong defense from The View, was left speechless. Even Whoopi Goldberg, who usually jumps in to protect her co-hosts, paused, seemingly unsure how to spin the situation. The moment was tense. For years, The View has championed identity politics, pushing the idea that historical injustices demand modern-day accountability. But now, with one of their own caught in a contradiction, the panel struggled to defend their usual stance. Instead of addressing the irony head-on, Sunny brushed it off, hoping the moment would pass. But the internet wasn't about to let that happen. Social media erupted, and soon, the backlash was bigger than The View could control. Greg Gutfeld saw the hypocrisy unfolding in real time, and he wasn't about to let it slide.
Interesting change of tune. For more, we go to our chief Sunny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
With his usual sharp wit, he pointed out the glaring double standard. If Sunny Hostin believes people should be held accountable for their ancestors' actions,
because I just sensed that there could be something in my family history.
Shouldn't she apply the same logic to herself? After all, she has repeatedly pushed for reparations, so does that mean she now owes them? The irony was impossible to ignore. Sunny, who had built a career on lecturing others about privilege and historical responsibility, was suddenly silent when confronted with her own family's past. Gutfeld didn't hold back, using humor to expose the flaw in identity politics. When ideology collides with inconvenient facts, the entire framework crumbles. His panel had a field day, throwing in sarcastic jabs and calling Sunny's stance performative outrage at its finest. One co-host joked, "So, does this mean Sunny has to cancel herself?" The laughter in the studio was a stark contrast to the awkward silence over at The View. Meanwhile, Sunny and her co-hosts desperately tried to shift the conversation, but it was too late. The damage had been done. The internet had already taken Gutfeld's side, and social media exploded. Twitter was flooded with memes mocking Sunny's hypocrisy. One viral post read, "Reparations? Let me write that check to myself real quick." Even some liberal viewers admitted that The View's credibility had taken a major hit. Sunny had walked into this debate thinking she was in control. But now, thanks to Gutfeld, she was the one being called out. And there was no escaping it. The internet wasted no time tearing into Sunny Hostin's hypocrisy. Within minutes, clips of the exchange flooded Twitter and TikTok, racking up millions of views. The reaction was brutal. The most viral meme summed up the irony perfectly. "Reparations? Let me write that check to myself real quick." The joke spread like wildfire, with thousands of users piling on with their own takes. It wasn't just conservatives calling her out, even some liberal viewers admitted that The View had backed itself into a corner. Critics pointed out the glaring contradiction. For years, Sunny demanded that others confront their family's dark pasts, but when it was her turn, she dismissed it as just a fact of life. The conversation quickly shifted from historical accountability to whether Sunny's activism was ever genuine, or if it was just another political weapon used to shame and silence others. Some of her fans rushed to her defense, arguing that she shouldn't be blamed for what her ancestors did. But the problem wasn't her ancestry, it was the blatant double standard. If she truly believed in the principles she preached, why wasn't she holding herself to the same standards? And that's where she lost the argument. The View tried to move on, but the internet wasn't letting this one go. The backlash was bigger than anything they had anticipated, and Sunny found herself at the center of a controversy she couldn't spin her way out of. The View thrives on controversy, but this time they had no control over the narrative. After Sunny Hostin's hypocrisy was exposed, the usual lively energy at the table was gone. The tension was obvious. Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, normally quick to defend their co-hosts, seemed unsure how to spin the situation. They knew the usual strategy of attacking critics wouldn't work this time. The backlash was coming from all sides, even from their own audience. Sunny tried to downplay the revelation, brushing it off as just a fact of life. But instead of calming the storm, her casual dismissal only made things worse. Viewers saw it as an attempt to dodge accountability, something she had never allowed others to do. Behind the scenes, ABC executives were reportedly worried. The View had built its brand on pushing progressive narratives, but this moment exposed its credibility problem. The show had always claimed to stand for truth and accountability, yet here they were, scrambling to protect one of their own from the very standards they had set. This wasn't just a bad debate, it was a full-blown reputation crisis. And with social media keeping the controversy alive, one big question remained. Could this be the moment when viewers finally start to see through the View's agenda? This controversy isn't just about Sunny Hostin. It exposes a much bigger issue. For years, identity politics has created rigid moral frameworks, forcing people to answer for historical injustices they had no part in. It demands that some individuals take responsibility for their ancestors' actions, while allowing others to avoid that same scrutiny. But what happens when the very people enforcing these rules get caught in their own contradictions? Greg Gutfeld used this moment to highlight the dangers of performative activism. When your entire platform is built on calling out others, it only takes one slip-up to expose the hypocrisy. Sunny's reaction proved that the rules she so passionately enforced were never meant to apply to her. This is the problem with identity politics. It prioritizes narratives over truth. It punishes people for things beyond their control while ignoring the reality that history is complex. Personal accountability should matter more than public virtue signaling, yet time and time again, we see people bending the rules when it becomes inconvenient. And as long as narratives take precedence over facts, moments like this will continue to happen. The question is, will people finally start to see through the facade? Was this the moment identity politics finally collapsed under its own contradictions? Did Greg Gutfeld just deal a major blow to the View's credibility? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest controversies.